Ever wonder why some people keep testing your patience, even when you treat them with nothing but kindness? It's not because you're weak. It's because they've learned they can cross the line without consequence. But what if I told you that the most powerful way to deal with disrespect isn't by shouting, it's by saying nothing at all? In this video, we're unlocking 5 bold, Stoic strategies to earn respect without ever losing your cool. So stick around, because by the end, you'll know exactly how to show people where your boundary lies, without even raising your voice. Let's be honest. There are people who thrive on pushing others. They interrupt, undermine, throw passive-aggressive jabs, or act like your time and presence are disposable. And what do most of us do? Smile, nod, let it slide. But not today. If you're tired of being disrespected, of being the nice one people think they can walk all over, then this is your wake-up call. Today, we're diving into brutally honest, maybe even controversial, ways to handle disrespect the Stoic way. With strength, calm, and total self-respect. Asterisk 1. Embrace the silent stare. We're starting with one of my favorite tools, because it's subtle, savage, and surprisingly powerful. The silent stare. Now, you might be thinking, really? Just staring at someone? Yes. And here's why. When someone is being openly disrespectful, they're usually seeking a reaction. They want you to flinch, argue, defend yourself, or even explode. It gives them power. It pulls you into their chaos. But when you respond with nothing but a long, steady stare, calm, expressionless, and unbothered, it flips the script. Suddenly, they're the one exposed, and they hate it. I've used this myself. I was once in a meeting where a guy kept talking over me, like clockwork. Every time I tried to speak, he cut me off, smug, overconfident, completely unaware of how disrespectful he was being. I tried being polite. I tried asserting myself. Nothing worked. So, I stopped talking. I leaned back in my chair, folded my arms, and just looked at him. 5 full seconds. No blinking. No expression. The air in the room changed. Everyone else turned to look at him. And for the first time, he got flustered. He stumbled through his words and finally looked away. And you know what? He didn't interrupt me again for the rest of the meeting. The silent stare said more than a lecture ever could. It was the clearest no I've ever spoken, without a sound. The reason this works is deeper than you think. You're not being passive-aggressive. You're showing control. You're saying, I'm not playing this game with you. And that message lands harder than any insult. People who are used to being bullies expect one of 2 things: submission or escalation. The silent stare gives them neither. It forces them to sit in their own discomfort. It's like holding up a mirror, one they can't avoid. And more often than not, they don't like what they see. What's more powerful? Yelling, "Don't talk to me like that," or silently showing that you won't tolerate disrespect? The stare does something else, too. It strengthens your own sense of worth. You're telling yourself, I don't need to justify my value. I don't need to explain myself. I won't be dragged into someone else's mess. That's real control. That's Stoic power. I used to be the type who laughed nervously at rude comments, or tried to explain myself when someone mocked my ideas. I thought I was diffusing tension, but really, I was minimizing myself. Then I discovered the silent stare. And it changed everything. Now, when someone crosses a line, I don't argue. I don't justify. I just look at them. Calm, silent, unmoved. It throws people off more than you'd believe. Because they realize they're not in control anymore. And that realization earns you something more powerful than agreement. It earns you respect. So, the next time someone's being rude, interrupting you, mocking you, trying to bait you into a reaction, pause and stare. Let them feel the weight of your silence. Because in a world full of noise, silence becomes power. And in the hands of someone grounded, unshaken, and self-respecting, that silence becomes a roar. Stay tuned. We're just getting started. In the next section, we'll uncover how to use silence not just as a stare, but as a complete response. Because sometimes, saying nothing is louder than shouting. And that's what makes them stop in their tracks. Previously, we talked about the power of silence, how a single calm stare can shift the energy in a room and command respect without a word. Now, we take it one step further. Because silence isn't just a stare, it can be your full response. ***2. Embrace silence as your answer. Here's a truth we don't talk about enough. Silence is a weapon. Not of aggression, but of strength. When someone disrespects you, your natural impulse is to defend yourself. To explain. To snap back. But what if your silence spoke louder than anything you could say? Think about this. How often have you wasted energy responding to someone who didn't deserve your words? How many times have you walked away from an argument feeling drained? Not because they won, but because they pulled you into their chaos? What if you had just stayed silent? Silence is unsettling. It creates a void people aren't ready to face. When someone lashes out, they expect a return blow. When you don't give it to them, they're forced to sit with their own words. I remember a moment that changed the way I use silence forever. I was working with someone who loved to provoke sarcastic remarks. Subtle digs, always trying to get a rise out of me. At first, I'd bite. I'd try to defend myself or respond with wit. But it never worked. He fed off the tension. One day, I decided to try something different. He threw one of his usual jabs in front of others. Everyone turned to me, waiting for a comeback, and I gave him nothing. Just looked at him, blinked, and turned away. The air shifted. People looked confused. He looked thrown off. For the first time, he didn't know what to do. There was no script for silence. No cue to follow. That moment changed everything between us. He stopped coming for me. And people began to notice the shift, not in him, but in me. I had stopped playing small games. I was commanding space, not with volume, but with restraint. Let's be clear. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you've mastered yourself. You don't owe everyone an answer. You don't have to react to every provocation. Your peace is too expensive to spend on cheap drama. This doesn't mean you avoid conflict. It means you choose when it's worth it. Some people throw disrespect like bait, hoping you'll bite. But silence? That's you walking away from the hook. And it stings more than any comeback ever could. Dash dash dash. Here's the deeper layer most people miss. When you go silent, you shift the pressure. They were expecting a fight. Now, they're stuck with their own awkwardness. Silence makes them question, rewind, replay their actions. And the more they reflect, the more they shrink. It's a quiet form of power, and it teaches people they don't get to control your energy. Dash dash dash. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't about giving the cold shoulder or being emotionally distant. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Sometimes the best answer to disrespect isn't a clever reply. It's your complete refusal to engage. Not because you're afraid, because you've grown. Because your self-respect speaks louder than your defense. And when someone crosses a line and you give them your silence, you're sending a message they won't forget. You don't have that kind of access to me anymore. That kind of restraint? That's Stoic mastery. Dash dash dash. In the next part, we'll explore a third method, how to master the pause before responding. Because between what happens to you and how you react lies your power. And once you learn to pause, you become untouchable. In the last section, we explored how silence isn't just a passive response, it's a powerful decision. Now, we go even deeper into that calm strength by choosing what we don't engage with. Toxic people and distractions that derail our purpose. Dash dash dash. Asterisk asterisk 6. Refuse to engage with toxic people. Not everyone deserves your energy. That's not arrogance, it's wisdom. Toxic people thrive on chaos. They bait you with insults, backhanded compliments, and manipulative games. Why? Because they want your reaction, your attention, your emotional investment. And every time you respond, even with anger, frustration, or a defense, you're feeding them exactly what they crave. The Stoics had a phrase for this: don't enter the arena. If someone throws mud, don't step into the pit and wrestle with them. Walk around it. Stay clean. This isn't about avoidance. It's about power. Because when you refuse to engage, you're sending a loud, clear message. You don't control my attention. You don't get to pull me into your storm. Dash dash dash. I once had a colleague who loved drama. Every interaction turned into a subtle attack. At first, I tried to respond with grace, then with logic, then with firm boundaries. But none of it worked, because he didn't want resolution. He wanted reaction. So I stopped giving it. I responded with silence, short answers, no eye rolls, no sighs, no energy. And within weeks, he moved on to someone else, because I had become boring. He couldn't feed off my attention anymore. That's the secret. Toxic people don't know what to do with peace. They can't manipulate calm. They lose power when you don't play. So when someone throws shade, let it pass. When they try to bait you, stay neutral. When they gossip, walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you've grown past the need to prove anything. And the irony? That's when people start to take you seriously. Dash dash dash. Asterisk asterisk 7. Stay focused on your purpose. Here's the truth most people ignore. The more focused you are, the more you threaten people who aren't. Some people don't actually hate you. They hate what your discipline reflects back to them. Your clarity makes them feel lost. Your purpose makes them feel scattered. So they try to pull you off track. They'll distract you with petty drama, guilt you into helping them when you have your own mission, criticize your goals, undermine your confidence. Why? Because if you stay focused, you'll outgrow them, and they feel it. But your job isn't to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. It's to protect your focus like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. I remember working on a huge project once. Every day, someone would try to pull me away. It's not that important. They'd say, or, you're being too intense. But I knew what I was building. I knew where I was headed. So I said, no, more often. I turned down small distractions. I stayed late. I showed up early. And it paid off. Because in the end, the same people who mocked my focus were the ones asking how I did it. Purpose silences criticism. Focus builds credibility. Boundaries create freedom. And when you stay locked in on what truly matters, toxic people fade away, not because you chased them off, but because you stopped letting them in. Let me be clear. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to explain your goals to people who don't understand them. And you certainly don't need to engage with those who only want to see you fail. Your peace is not a negotiation. Your mission isn't a debate. So stay the course. Refuse to get dragged down. Decline the bait. And protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Coming up next, we'll dive into the art of mastering the pause, how to take a breath before responding, and why that 1 second could change everything. In the last section, we learned how staying focused on your purpose is a shield against toxic distractions. Now, let's talk about something deceptively subtle but just as damaging: how you handle conversations about toxic people when they're not around. **8. Don't vent or gossip about toxic people. It's tempting, isn't it? When someone disrespects you, undermines you, or spreads negativity, you want to vent. You want to tell someone. You want validation. And sometimes, it even feels like justice. I'm not being petty, you think. I'm just being honest. But here's the hard truth. Gossip is a trap disguised as relief. The moment you talk about someone behind their back, you step into the same energy you're trying to rise above. You become reactive. You hand over your peace. And worst of all, you keep their toxicity alive by carrying it with you. Gossip isn't about resolution, it's about release. But it rarely gives you the release you think it will. I've seen this firsthand. A colleague once betrayed my trust. I was furious. I told a friend at work what happened, expecting comfort. Maybe some righteous agreement. But what I got instead was awkward silence. A shift in tone. That moment changed how I was seen, not the person who wronged me. Because no matter how justified you feel, when you gossip, you lose credibility. People start to wonder, what do you say about them when they're not around? And here's the kicker. The toxic person? They don't lose anything from your venting. You do. You lose energy. You lose focus. And you start carrying around someone else's mess like it's yours. So what's the better way? Handle it head on, or not at all. If it's someone you need to set boundaries with, do it clearly and directly. If they don't deserve your energy, disengage quietly and move on. But above all, don't keep talking about them. Don't let them rent space in your mind for free. Silence, again, becomes your power. Because nothing says, "You don't matter to me," louder than refusing to repeat their name. Dash dash dash. Does this mean you can't process your emotions? Of course not. There's a difference between processing and gossiping. One helps you grow, the other keeps you stuck. So vent to a coach, a therapist, or write it down. But don't keep replaying the drama to anyone who will listen. That's not healing. That's recycling pain. And when you stop gossiping, something powerful happens. You rise. You step into the version of yourself who doesn't need validation from others. Who sets the tone instead of matching the chaos. Who models maturity, not messiness. That's real confidence. That's real stoicism. Dash dash dash. Final message. Let's wrap it up. Here's the bottom line. Toxic people will always exist. You can't control their words, their actions, their games. But you can control what you tolerate, what you respond to, and how you carry yourself. You can choose the silent stare over sarcasm, the pause over the reaction, the disengagement over the gossip. That's how you win. Because the true flex isn't proving them wrong, it's making them irrelevant. So remember, you don't have to raise your voice to be powerful. You don't have to defend your worth to be worthy. And you never have to lower your standards to meet someone at their level. Rise above, live stoically, and let your quiet strength speak for itself. Dash dash dash. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, because the next episode dives into how to stop people pleasing once and for all. See you there.